each one of the things that's in my home has some kind of special meaning. It reminds me of a trip, or it reminds me of a person that I've loved. And I think that that's what a home should be. I don't feel comfortable in homes that are stark and have no personality. Sometimes people will say, well, do you think that maybe you do too much? And I think, yeah, sometimes it's clutter, but I love it.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. Welcome to our Coral Gables home. My name is Cynthia Hudson. I am the Senior Vice President and Managing Director of CNN and Español. We are in beautiful Coral Gables, Florida, which is a historic area, and this home is right on historic Coral Way. This is one of only 32 Coral Rock homes left in the Coral Gables and Miami area, and it was originally built by George Merrick, who was the founder of Coral Gables, and it was designed by H.G. Fink, who was his premier architect. And they used the natural stone of the region to start their original homes here before it was actually incorporated. So the house is now 100 years old, while Coral Gables actually is started in 1926. I find it interesting to be somebody like we call on the hyphen, where my father was born in the US, I was born in the US, but my mother was born in Cuba. And I think there's a really interesting moment where those cultures merge in people like me. So this is the entry foyer. It was originally a porch. And unfortunately, the owners, this home has only had 3 owners, at some point covered over the original coral rock with a plaster. And I was able to actually chip away at that plaster to create the beautiful rock wall. We raised the ceiling and did the beautiful beams. And we turned this into a foyer because we felt that the immediate access to the front yard needed a welcoming area to get to the rest of the house. So over here we have a settee that I bought, a beautiful federal style Duncan Fife. If you look at the legs, it's the perfect Duncan Fife little mini sofa, if you will. And I bought it 25 years ago from an antique shop owned by a friend of mine. And she called me about 10 years later to say, I think I found the matching pair. And so I went and bought the other one, and I'm just so thrilled. I think I always joke around with my family that these will be buried with me. And a painting that my father did. My father was an incredibly talented man, although he was a university professor. He loved to try new things, and he painted, and he was just, I think, a Renaissance man. So now we enter the living room, and the living room has the beautiful coral fireplace, and it's one of those grand rooms with the high ceilings, and we were able to really respect the architecture that was designed to create that sense of formality from the architect. When you have a large art collection and it's colorful, you want to make the room around it as neutral as possible so that it's not conflicting and competing with the art. And so I've tried to always keep palettes of either grays or beiges or off-whites. That way we can really bring the color through the art. So I have several favorites in my room, but I would say that one of the tops obviously is the portrait by Spanish artist Nati Cañada, who I worked with when I was at Cosmopolitan TV, and she did a series on historic women and was kind enough to say, I'm gonna be going through Miami, do you want me to paint your portrait? And it was very expensive, but I thought it was a great investment, and it was most importantly dear to my heart because it's my daughters when they were young and myself. And my husband at the time cried when he saw the painting finished. Unfortunately, a lot of beautiful art was left in Cuba by my grandfather and grandmother when they fled in 1960. But they did bring 2 pieces in their car when they took the ferry from Havana to Key West, thinking that they would someday go back. And the 2 pieces that they took were this beautiful painting of a Cuban landscape on board from the 19th century, in the 1800s, by Reynoso. His work is in the Museo of Cuban Art in Havana. And this painting by a Spanish impressionist whose last name is Llaverías, and it's depicting the port of Barcelona. And over here, we have a beautiful fan that belonged to my great-grandmother, Victoria de la Vega y Sirven. And it's beautiful because it's all mother of pearl, and it's hand-painted. My mother always treasured it, and I treasure it too. I love to find things that mean something, that speak to me, and surround my home and the people that I love with things that I think evoke and create opportunity for you to reflect and create moments of memories. And so each one of the things that's in my home has some kind of special meaning. It reminds me of a trip, or it reminds me of a person that I've loved. So we walk into the formal dining room, and I love the shape. I had always had a long table, and here I was able to do a round table. And I think that round tables create just a beautiful moment for conversation when you're having a dinner party. And so I was able to combine it with antique chairs and do something fascinating with my furniture. But what I love is this piece. This is an antique Italian bookcase. And this bookcase is burl wood, which is so in now. But whoever said burl wood went out of style? And I just love the fact that I can keep some of my family heirlooms and collectibles in there without it being too showy. And at the same time, it's just such a grand piece. So this is the original kitchen area of the home, which we then expanded to add a large Florida room. And the great thing about this kitchen is that we were able to do it in a seamless manner, incorporating the original rock from the walls with the beams that were used to support the structure, which we clad in the same wood that was used for the beams on the ceiling. But what's special is the secret door to the basement below, which is a wine cellar. And I'll show you how we get there. So through the secret door, underneath the house, we came into basement space that was always here because the house is highly elevated, and we just finished it off into a wine cellar. And what we have is a piece that I love. It was an antique carousel horse, but it's by the same person who created the horses at Disney World. And so this is from the 1950s. This is my husband's sanctuary. We have our wine collection. We play dominoes. This is where you see the interesting combination. This is our domino table. And it's a fun place to watch movies. On a rainy day, it's especially comforting to be down here and just, hang out. And the painting behind me is not a painting, it's actually a collection of photographs that my husband took of antique doors from our honeymoon on the Danube. So on the way to the family quarters, we have 4 bedrooms on this side, plus an office over there. And it's interesting because this is basically a family sanctuary where I have portraits of my father, my mother, my daughters when they were little girls, and what used to be a window, which was the only way that Historic would allow us to create the addition to our master suite. Here we enter the master area, our sanctuary, and of course, the crazy lining of a wall with pictures from all of our 6 children. So the first thing you find is our Art Deco styled master bath. And I was able to find these beautiful raised glazed tiles from the 1920s from England, and I imported them. They were actually more expensive than all the marble, but I was able to create and evoke the 1920s, which was respecting the architecture of the house. And we did the same with the lamps and the mirrors and the cabinetry. And I was able to actually find the lotus leaf type of wallpaper that matches the original tiles. And then as we continue this way, we have the actual bedroom, which is, I think, proportionate to the sizes of the spaces in the home. I think a lot of times people make these huge additions and it feels like an addition. We wanted this to feel like it was always here. And my favorite is that I have the double doors that face the pool and the beautiful backyard. And it's just such a great and relaxing space. So here we are on the back terrace that is beautiful coral rock, and we did the pool to be a lounging pool and a relaxing pool. It's very shallow, it's only 5 feet, but it's really made so that we can actually relax inside of the pool and not have to be worrying about not having enough room. And there's plenty of space for people to sit out here and enjoy the beautiful weather. So the entire house was built around a courtyard that we created to mix the old and the new. And it's my favorite spot of the house. So we have the beautiful lemon trees that my husband tends to. These are Meyer lemons, and they're huge and they're delicious. We use them for everything from pies to seafood. I'm trying to find somebody who can make limoncello with them. And here we have the fountains that we just thought would give this a charming effect with the Juliet balcony doors, because the house is so high above the main level, and it gives you this grand entrance into the living room, the formal living room.
You really do feel like you're in Italy.
That was the idea. The idea was to take advantage of the architecture, the setting, the sunlight, and really create a very, I want to say, organic environment that matches the home.
Thanks for watching. For more Homeworthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.